What if I told you that Conqueror's Haki could control the other types of Haki? Armament Haki and Observation Haki.
What do you mean by that?
This is gonna get weird and probably all over the place, but my curiosity got the best of me, and I decided to make a mountain out of a molehill. Sometimes I'm like the Joker in Batman Dark Knight. I just do things.
I just do things.
Things just happen. And the things I'm gonna say could of course be massively, completely wrong, but I like the trajectory of this rabbit hole that I'm diving into. Again, sometimes curiosity just takes a hold of me and I just get tugged in to the goddamn vortex. That being said though, I've already made a few theory videos about Conqueror's Haki and Haki in general that have been correct as of late. And I think because I've been correct when it comes to all my Haki videos, I'm allowed to go crazy once in a while. So I decided to go deep down this rabbit hole and try and tap into the mainframe and the core of the Haki matrix that Oda has created, and maybe make some sense of it all.
Maybe.
In a sense, true Conqueror's Haki. Now, of course.
Oh no.
Caught it. You see, I'm on point. Of course, spoiler warning for anyone who doesn't read the manga, because, well, obviously you will get spoiled, and I don't want your day to be ruined.
And my day is ruined.
So at this point in time, Jafar is allowed to go ham.
Let's do this.
Now, how did this all start? So I did a video a few days ago talking about the hidden races of One Piece. And in that video, I talk about Kaido, Yamato, and the Oni. And one thing I brought up was how durable they seem to be, and the evidence for that. Check the video out, there'll be a card right here in the top corner. In the comment section of that video, I did notice that some folks were talking about the reason why Kaido and Big Mom couldn't be moved in Law's room. And some were saying that it was because of the level of their Conqueror's Haki. So this video exists predominantly because of them. But I have heard this before, because when Law says I can't move them because their Haki is so powerful, it's not stated exactly what component of their Haki is that powerful, or is it their Haki in their totality? So this is a very interesting idea on what Haki aspect exactly prevents Law from moving Big Mom and Kaido in his room. But there is a monkey wrench to what folks say in the comment section of that video because of Virgo.
Virgo-san.
Before Law did one of the best feats we've seen to date on Punk Hazard, Dove was talking a lot of smack to Law, hyping up Virgo, the OD Virgo hype man. Smoker was completely stunned seeing Virgo in full body armor Haki, one of the sexiest things in One Piece bar none. Robin greatness, Reiju greatness, Viola greatness, and finally Virgo full body armored Haki greatness in that particular specific order. And while the audience, we the readers, were getting sucked into the Dofi pace, he was making the claim that Virgo's Haki prevents Law from hurting him within his room. And as far as we know, Virgo has no Conqueror's Haki. So even though Law devastated Virgo, the idea here is that armored Haki is really all you need to defend yourself in Law's room, despite his powers being very broken. So I thought to myself, okay, hold on. How could Conqueror's Haki work in this case, in of itself? And then I remember that there's the feature of Conqueror's Haki where you can exert some sort of pressure on the environment around the user. We've seen Shanks when he arrived on your ship, where it's almost like a Bleach spiritual pressure, Reiatsu pressure crush. And in that series, the difference of Reiatsu can be sometimes so great that weaker folks and attacks get blown away, essentially. They just get blown away. They do nothing. So this sort of pressure zone was also shown in the anime of Katakuri after the Medienda. When the chefs see Katakuri and they start running away, he exerts this pressure zone around him because he's so pissed off. That is the pressure zone of the Conqueror's Haki. So the idea here is that the pressure of the Conqueror's Haki would act in a defensive way to prevent Law from moving Big Mom and Kaido within his room. Now, there could be other reasons in of itself as to why Conqueror's Haki can do this. But again, because of Luffy's comments, it does lean in the favor of armament Haki. Armament Haki is the key reason why Law can't move them.
And now comes the interesting part.
However, we do know that you can combine the two and imbue Conqueror's Haki into attacks. So this is where we start going down the rabbit hole. Let's talk about Conqueror's Haki control over armament Haki. Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
The original idea of Conqueror's Haki, according to Rayleigh, is the power to overwhelm, exerting your willpower over others, and the embodiment of the spirit. Take this concept and apply it to oneself. A Conqueror's Haki user can exert willpower over their own armament Haki, thereby strengthen it to a whole new level. It's nuts. It is nuts, okay? But again, we're just at the tip of the iceberg. We just entered in the rabbit hole. But make no mistake, we have our shovels, we have our construction gear, we have our lights, because there might be some justification for this in the latest chapters of One Piece. So, based on what I can gather, when we compare the clashes and the fights of Luffy versus Kaido with Yamato versus Kaido, it looks to me like Yamato didn't do so hot against Daddy K compared to Luffy. By the way, Daddy K is Kaido's street name. I digress though. Yamato tagged Kaido with Thunder Bagua, where in the next chapter after that clash, we do see Kaido bleeding a bit from his forehead. And we did see the hollow glacier slash later on, and then another shot to the jaw, and Kaido for the most part was fine. He bounced back, like he took damage, but it was kind of not a big deal at all. Ultimately, it seems like the main gaming for Kaido is to chip away at his 10-part HP bar. That's like the main game here. And over the course of these fights, it's being slowly chipped away. However, in chapter 1010, when Monkey D was tagging Kaido, Kaido was coughing up blood. He was on his back after 2 major shots. These shots were absurdly impressive, yo. They were nuts. And you can easily argue the most damage Kaido has taken in this whole arc thus far. By far. From those 2 shots. Those 2 shots. Even in chapter 1013, when Kaido sends Luffy packing, right? He's huffing and he's puffing. He blew Luffy's house down, but he admits that he got worked up during that fight off screen. And that's why he wished he could have cut Luffy's head off. There's nothing of the sort for Yamato at the end of their 1v1 in chapter 1025. Now, it could be a nitpick, of course. This is all a nitpick. This is, again, we're diving down a rabbit hole. But it looks like in this case, Luffy had a better showcase 1v1, both on off screen, than Yamato did with Kaido 1v1. But then we got to double back to chapter 1014. Kaido says in that chapter that Luffy's application of Conqueror's Haki infusion, it was sloppy, it was clumsy. Yamato seems to have better understanding of Conqueror's Haki application than Luffy for, I think, fairly obvious reasons, but still, again, Luffy seems to have the better 1v1 against Kaido than Yamato. Why is that? Now, of course, there are several reasons as to why you can argue this is the case. One of which you can say is because Luffy's affinity for Haki is Conqueror's Haki according to Oda. So even though his application of Conqueror's Haki fusion was crude and sloppy, it was still more potent than Yamato's Conqueror's Haki. However, the best answer, I think, is Luffy's advanced Rio Haki. That is the core of the matter. If Luffy's Conqueror's Haki amplifies his already applied armament Haki, then Luffy's attacks, of course, will be stronger than Yamato's, since his armor Haki is better than hers. And the key note to this is that Yamato couldn't break out of the semi-sea stone cuffs, even though she could apply Conqueror's Haki to her club when she knocked out Ulti. Presumably, she applied Conqueror's Haki to her club. The anime does show lightning effects. In the manga, we see it as well for the black lightning effects, so it's a safe assumption that she did apply the Conqueror's Haki to her club. And shout out to the Aussies of the UFOs podcast, because they did call that a while back. So yes, Yamato was probably applying Conqueror's Haki to her club when she knocked out Ulti, but she couldn't break out the cuffs, but Luffy could easily do that with his Ryo Haki. So if, big if, of course, if this is how Conqueror's Haki works when it comes to enhancing one's armor Haki, then we switch that mode from offense to defense for Kaido and Big Mom on why Law can't move them in his room. Their natural armor Haki is amplified because of their strong Conqueror's Haki to a point where Law can't do anything. We know that Big Mom and Kaido can apply Conqueror's Haki to their attacks, and we've seen in recent chapters that Big Mom is knocking out people across the entire floor where she's fighting right now. Their Conqueror's Haki is next level, that's for damn sure. And what's even more intriguing, actually, is if we continue down this line of thought, in Luffy, we may see in the future him showing the enhanced defense when it comes to Conqueror's Haki infusion with armor Haki. Because remember, when Hyogoro trained Luffy in Ryo Haki, it was just the first level, the first step, basic Ryo Haki, where someone could push back someone with armor Haki and increase their attack power for the most part at the same time. But it didn't go inside of objects and do internal damage. A lot of times, we see the skill used defensively with an open palm. Open palm. Rayleigh against Elephant in Ryuskaina, Marigold against Luffy, potentially the Admirals against Whitebeard's own Quake attack. Open palm, you spread out the Haki, the Ryo Haki, and then you make a defensive barrier of sorts. So shout out to Thunderbird, Sky King on Discord as well, because I remember we talked about that for a bit on Discord. We haven't seen Luffy use an open palm Ryo skill defensively against Kaido at this point in time. We haven't seen it yet on the rooftop. But that was one of the core things that Hyogoro had Luffy try and do during Big Mom's rampage. He had two palms open, and he was going to try to block her attack. So if Conqueror's Haki can enhance all armor Haki, no matter what, then this defensive skill can be enhanced for maximum protection. Trojan Man style. That's very important. That's pivotal. In manga and in IRL. I don't care what no one says.
I don't care.
Ultimately, this line of reasoning about Conqueror's Haki and armor Haki does back up the idea of Daddy K and Big B being unable to be moved in Law's room. Especially since we don't see them activating armor Haki like what Virgo did in Punk Hazard. In their case, it just seems to be passive and natural. And that, honest to God, is some really scary stuff on the part of Daddy K and Big B. At the end of the day, in this situation, when it comes to Conqueror's Haki controlling armor Haki, it is the floor of armored Haki, the baseline, the bedrock of armored Haki, where Conqueror's Haki can build on top of that. Luffy has a much higher floor of armor Haki than Yamato does. So even though she has better control over Conqueror's Haki right now, his floor is just higher for armor Haki, which is the baseline of the Conqueror Haki infusion into armored Haki based attacks. So that is a pretty hefty mountain. That was fun. This line of reasoning for Conqueror's Haki is interesting. I think it's very intriguing. I'm not saying this is actually the case, but I like diving down this rabbit hole of Conqueror's Haki actually controlling armored Haki. And yes, we are, of course, once again making a mountain out of a molehill. But it's fun. It's fun. However, while I was digging around the rabbit hole, I did notice there was another path. There was a side quest.
Lovely.
And this one, I think, has a lot of potential. Because if you can amplify / control your armored Haki with Conqueror's Haki, can you do the same thing for observation Haki? Now things really get funky. Because what on God's green earth would that even look like when you're trying to infuse Conqueror's Haki into your observation Haki? But I do think, yes I do, but I do think there is a way this might be possible, where Conqueror's Haki users can exert willpower over their own observation Haki and raise that Haki to a whole new level. So let's make another molehill into a mountain. Conqueror's Haki controls observation Haki. And for this, we have to come off the gate pretty damn hot. We have to establish, I think, one very important thing moving forward. Right now, I'm willing to bet a lot of money on this one. Even though Big Mom and Kaido are studly with Conqueror's Haki, it is a safe bet that they are not the best in the verse at Conqueror's Haki. Meaning that there are people or a person who is better at using, controlling, exerting, has more Haki in general than those two. And if there is one person, you know who that man is. You know who that man is. The man who motivated Luffy to becoming a pirate in the first place. Even though Dragon exists, who cares? Because this person is the real Minato Namikaze to our Naruto Uzumaki. The red hair wonder and the god king of the verse. Bless his heart, Rockstar. Even though he has the same bounty as Frankie, he has truly come a long way and has made a substantial impact to the story. Stop the cap. Of course, red hair. Shanks, the man, the myth, the legend. Shanks is the only member of the Yonko, 4 bill bounties, presumably, without a devil fruit, and got buff after losing an arm. He makes the rawest niggas in the verse sweat as a cripple. Come on! How? Why? That's wild! The reason being, at the end of the damn day, it's probably OD Haki. In particular, OD Conqueror's Haki. I'm willing to bet that Shanks has the strongest Haki among the Yonko and has the best usage of Conqueror's Haki. Probably in the verse. If Shanks and Luffy do meet, I expect Luffy to learn important information about Conqueror's Haki or the Hakis from Shanks and finally find out just how strong this beast really is. If there is a way to infuse Conqueror's Haki with observation Haki, I think Shanks will be the guy to bring that to light. Shanks. Now, what would that even look like? Because it sounds nuts. There are a lot of options out there, honestly, when it comes to what Conqueror's Haki infusion into observation Haki could be. There are things that other COC users like Rayleigh or Katakuri that they have done with their observation Haki that Luffy still hasn't done yet to this day.
To this day!
And in this arc, of course, observation Haki is not a focus. Clearly, it's not. So if this exists, we probably won't see any hints of this being dropped in Wano Country. Again, Shanks is my main man for this insight on combining the two Hakis. And I think that there is one thing we can look at for Shanks that may be a megaton nuke for this. This is a crazy idea. But I love the concept. And the concept comes from a video game.
Nice.
Oh my god! So brave and stunning! Yes, from a video game. I have made several videos on this subject, but I have been right.
Put some respect on it.
I have been right more often than I've been wrong. And the lightning effects of Conqueror's Haki we see in the manga now, I think, are proof of this. In Pirate Warriors video games, there are some things that the characters do that wind up becoming reality in the manga. A recent example of this that I've noted before is Kaido controlling / utilizing wind and lightning while fighting in dragon form. These things were first shown in Pirate Warriors 4 before they were shown in the manga. That's a fact. Now, years ago, like 2015, 2016, when Power Warriors 3 came out, there was a big talk about Shanks in the game because Shanks was using Red Lightning for parts of his combo chain, and most importantly, for the promos of the game, it was noted that Shanks would have the ability to slow down time. That, at the time, that was hyper mind-blowing. That was hyper mind-numbing at the time. Shocked, stunned. What on God's green earth are we talking about right now? Shanks can slow down time? But when the game dropped, we learned the truth. Shanks did not slow down time. Thank God for that. I love Shanks, but whoa. Thank God for that. Shanks did not slow down time. Rather, it was his observation haki that was the key. It was so powerful that he was perceiving time slower because of it. And another shout out to Wing Zero on Discord, because I know we've talked about this before when it comes to what the pinnacle of that haki could be. This is, I think, a very, 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 very cool concept. I like this a lot. We haven't seen it yet, but if there is any way that could actually be a thing, combining observation haki with Conqueror's haki, maybe it would be something like that. Like almost a hyper-exerted thought in the middle of a fight, in real time. So nothing escapes your perception. That's dope. That is so freaking dope. You know it is. You know it is. At the end of the day, wrap this video up. At the end of this day, we're just theory crafting the root cause and effect of Conqueror's haki and fusion, okay? I'm not gonna die on this hill, but I got no problems at all making this hill. And it was a fun dive. I think it was a fun dive into the ever so vague power system that is Haki in One Piece. But funny enough, when I was rereading the material for this video, I reread what Rayleigh told Luffy before he started the Haki training on Ruskaina, where he tells Luffy, ultimately speaking, to never doubt. That is power. In a strange way, it kind of coincides with Conqueror's haki, having the quality of a king and the literal will to affect living / non-living things around you. Applying it to one's own powers would be like a version of self-actualization, forcing out the innate, true, maximum power of armament haki and observation haki within oneself through sheer willpower. So, on that note, lads and ladies of the realm, let me know your stance on the subject matter at hand. Once again, I have no qualms at all making this hill, but I don't plan on dying on it. I would not. No, sir. I would not take this to the bank. No. But I think it is fun nonetheless to kind of dive into these aspects of Conqueror's haki, armament haki, and observation haki. Once again, let me know your stance on this mess, on the subject matter at hand. I'm going to see you cats on the flip side. Be easy. Take care. Have a nice one.